All right, Unit 3, LT6, we're going to use data from a sample survey to make predictions about a population. So let's first get a definition here of population. Population is the entire group of objects or individuals considered in the survey. And then we have a sample population, and this diagram, although it isn't high quality, has kind of I like it because we have a sample population and then we have a population. The population is the whole mass. So if we were talking about the United States, the population would be the United States, all the people in the United States. And the sample would be some people that we sampled. If we were talking, maybe to make it more realistically, if we were talking about the student body at Prairie Point, we would take a sample and we would take some 9th graders, some 8th graders, some 7th graders. And so we have a population and then a sample. And we're going to talk about random samples. And random samples are selectively completely at random, purely by chance with no predictability. And we'll talk about more in class ways that we can create these random samples, but we'll look at a few instances here too. So it's basically we take the population and we put a sample population, and then we get some statistics from that, and then we can make some predictions as to what's going to happen with the whole population then. So if we look, we have the population of Cedar Rapids, Iowa is 127,905, okay? We take a random sampling of 1,500 people, okay? So we have 1,500 people who are surveyed here, okay? And then of those 1,500 people, 1,175 plan to vote in an upcoming election. 300 responded that they might vote, and then 25 said they will not vote. All right? So we're asked a couple questions here. First of all, I want to point out that our sample population is 1,500. Okay? That's the people that we are sampling. Our total population is the Cedar Rapids population, is the 127,905. Okay, so we're asked, what's the sample portion of people who will vote? Well, we were told 1,175 of those 1,500 are going to vote. Okay, the sample proportion of people who might vote would be the 300 out of the 1,500. All right. And then the sample proportion who will not vote would be the 25 out of 1,500. Okay. So now why I'm putting equal signs on there is because we can then talk about percentages. If we take the 1,175 and divide it by our total population, then that's 78%, 78.3% of the sample population said they were going to vote. If we take that 300, which is just 3 divided by 15, then that's 20%. Okay? And if we take that 25 divided by 1,500, then we have 1.6%. And we'll make it 1.7% so that we match up. All right? So then we can kind of look at those. So we have these different criteria of people will vote, might vote, not vote. Okay? Obviously, most are saying they will, 20% are saying they might not, or might, and 1.7%, almost 2%, are saying they will not. Okay? If we wanted to round even more, we could make this 78% and this 2%, but we'll go with it. So what is the number of people out of the total population then of the Cedar Rapids that is expected to vote? So if we go back here, now the voting was 78 point, was it 3%? 78.3%. and the maybes were 20%, and the not was 1.7%. So we're going to take those percentages of that total population, which was 1,207 or 1,027,905. All right. So I'm just going to make life easier and not write that every time. So we're just going to take that percentage of the population. So that would be 0.783 times 1,207,905. That means 100,149.61. So we'll round that up. So 100,150. So let's make this an about 100,150 people will vote. Okay, 20% then, 20%, 0.2 times our number. It's going to give us 25,581. 25,581. Those are the maybes. And then 0.017 would be, and we'll round this one down, that works out well, 2174. So you can see what we did here is we had our sample, we created proportions in our sample, within our sample, so we made these, okay, this was about 78% will vote, 20% might, 1.7 won't. And then we used those percentages to predict for the greater population, okay? So without asking all 127, almost 128,000 people, we were able to make predictions as to what the election would turn out with, okay? And so then political analysts and all the people that handle elections can use these numbers to better prepare for elections, okay? Now, before class, why don't you try this? A random sample of Ely shows that 163 people out of 192 people surveyed are Iowa fans. If the population of Ely is 1,798, predict how many people in Ely are actually Iowa fans. So talk about what's your sample population, what's your population, get a proportion, apply it to the big population, and bring that to class. Remember, these have to be done. These are not optional.